Hey everyone, it's Michael Goosebumps fan. I hope you're doing well today. I have a new Goosebumps SlappyWorld book review for you. As I said, this October I'm reading some other things like Halloween Night 2 and some other things that R.L. Stine wrote and other authors, Halloween Tree from Ray Bradbury. A lot of different things I'm trying to work on. I thought I would be able to watch a lot of Halloween movies and stuff. Not really. I'm trying my best, but I'm kind of running out of time already. I think today is the 15th of October already, so time is flying by this month. Anyway, I recently started reading this SlappyWorld book, and today I finished it, and I'm kind of just meh about it, just okay about it. You know, it was above average, but not by much. It is Goosebumps SlappyWorld, book number 9, Revenge of the Invisible Boy. Now, of course, last week, or this past weekend, I read and did a review and also reviewed the TV episode adaptation of My Best Friend is Invisible from the old 90s classic Goosebumps series. A lot of people love that book. I really enjoyed it a lot. I liked it more than this. This book started out, and I kind of liked this one more, a little bit. And as the book progressed, especially to this morning when I was already starting at page 80, as of this morning when I finished the book, I feel like that last 40 pages, maybe the last 30 pages really, kind of slow the book down, kind of make it just not feel like a Goosebumps book. I don't know how to explain it. It's a little bit of an odd thing, but I'll get more into that in a little bit. I've kind of already told you how I feel for that respect, but I'll get more into it in a little bit. To start off the book, the story is actually not based around being a direct sequel to My Best Friend is Invisible. I believe that's the actual title of the Invisible Boy book that was at the end of the Goosebumps movie, the first one from 2015, when the Invisible Boy was inside of the trophy case, for the sports teams, and he was typing on the little typewriter of R.L. Stine's and writing The Revenge of the Invisible Boy, or whatever the title was that he put on there. I think they used that as a cutesy title for this, because there's not really any kind of revenge to this. There sort of kinda is, because of what happened with the characters, but I'll get to that in a moment. This is spoiler-free, by the way, in case you don't know, if you're following the reviews of just the SlappyWorld books or looking around and you happen to find this is my first video for you to watch. Spoiler-free all the time, unless I say otherwise. Anyway, Revenge of the Invisible Boy. Essentially, our main character and his friends have, and kind of one person who's not really a friend of his named Ari, oddly enough, like Return to Ghost Camp, that kind of Ari. These kids have a group that's called the Magic Club. I know it's kind of stupid. It's not as bad as like the Losers Club or anything like that, but the Magic Club. They love to do magic tricks. How many kids in 2020 do you know that loves to do magic tricks? If this doesn't show that there is some age to the Goosebumps franchise and how I think Stine, like many adults, and even people my age, don't really connect to the younger generation as well. They don't play outside, they don't do anything anymore. So it's kind of in this situation where I get where Stine is coming from with this. It's just a little bit odd to read a book that came out in 2020 and think that kids are still doing magic tricks at all. But it's fun, you know, magic is still fun. I still like watching magician tricks and, you know, their shows and stuff if I can find them. They don't really have many around there. You can watch them on YouTube sometimes, but still, I enjoy that kind of thing. I used to actually like doing magic tricks when I was a kid, as a matter of fact, in the 90s and 2000s and whatnot. I'm not very good at it, never have really been any good at it. You'd buy those really crappy magic sets from like Target with a VHS tape in it. But it was fun, man. It was a really fun time. I used to love that kind of stuff. Never really talked about that here on the channel. There's a lot of different things I liked to do when I was growing up, like ventriloquism, which I was never good at, magic, which I was never good at. A lot of little things like that it didn't work. But anyway, I can appreciate this kind of thing. I can see a lot of younger readers that are reading this book for the first time not enjoy that, not really understand why he would go for this kind of premise. However, it is fun. It is done relatively well. Anyway, this group of magician kids that like to do magic tricks, not with real magic, of course, but just, you know, pulleys and wires, that kind of thing. They do a levitation trick at their school, and the main character is supposed to be on the actual stage doing the performance, and he's supposed to be the one levitating. And one of the kids, like I said, in this group out of the 4 kids named Ari, is just kind of the mean-spirited, rude kid, and he actually lets go of the rope and drops the main character like on the stage in front of everybody where they could see what was actually happening. They know there was a pulley system and all that. So he got exposed. Not that he had a reputation to begin with, but he got exposed. And their little group meet in Ari's basement all the time. And his mother brings lemonade and cookies, that kind of thing. They really enjoy that aspect to it. If it sounds like I'm just kind of meandering as I tell you about the story, it's because the book does that too. I know it's not just me. I know I do that anyway on my channel. I ramble and whatnot. But this book does that too. You know, so it's kind of like me personified as a Goosebumps book. Anyway, so at one point they go to sea a particular magician that they really enjoy. Not so much Ari, but the rest of the group, mainly the main character, really enjoys. This particular character's name is Mystical Marvin. And he's a very well-known, famous magician, if you can be a famous magician nowadays and not be somebody like David Blaine, that it's like a household name for the most part in 2020. Not so much anymore, but sort of, kind of. So, Marvin is doing a performance, and he takes our main character up to the stage and says, we're going to make him disappear in front of everybody. And he does not. He decides to make himself disappear instead. And as the main characters get to know Marvin behind the scenes after the actual performance, he tells them how to turn invisible. And they kind of think he's just messing with them. And the main character sneaks off some of the juice that he claims he drinks to turn himself invisible. And he decides to use his revenge on Ari for what happened with the situation about the school performance where they looked like they were stupid because the levitation trick fell apart because of Ari. And I don't want to keep telling you too much. One of the characters turns invisible. That's all I want to tell you. One of the characters turn invisible, and it kind of becomes a problem for the main character to deal with this and how to help. You know, it's all right. It's really, honestly, all right. Like I said, that last 30 pages really doesn't feel like a Goosebumps book. If I had to ever say at all, when it comes to SlappyWorld, if anybody ever stepped in to help Stein write a book, this is the one that feels like that, to me personally. If he's still writing these. I think he is, because there's only like 3 a year now. But this one would feel, to me, like the last 30 pages were written by somebody else, because it doesn't feel right. It just, not even the way it's told so much as the story execution. It's kind of like the end of Night of the Puppet People. I won't spoil that for you either. But I said in my review there a long time ago, like almost 2 years ago, when I read that book, I was really into it. I really enjoyed what was happening. And then it got too sci-fi, almost. And not like in the futuristic spaceship setting or anything like that. Nothing like that. This book has that same flaw. It's a little too sci-fi-ish by the end of the book. Not as bad as Night of the Puppet People, where it almost kind of ruins the story a little bit, and the tone, the feeling, the atmosphere that Night of the Puppet People was setting up. This one just doesn't feel like Goosebumps a little bit. And I hate to say that. I mean, it's R.L. Stein. It's his creation. He'll do what he wants. But I'm saying, you know, if you're a Goosebumps fan, if you've read a lot of these books, you grew up on the TV show, you know that somehow that TV show captured the feeling and the essence of those books and how they're told, how they're written, just the way they're executed, storytelling-wise. Sometimes not entirely, but most of the time they do with the music and everything else. It really fits all together. And the books have a very specific way that Stein would write these books to make them feel like Goosebumps. That was the thing you came to Goosebumps for, because they felt like Goosebumps. These knockoff series did not feel like Goosebumps. Even down to Ghosts of Fear Street, which I enjoy, does not feel entirely like Goosebumps. It feels kind of like a cheap knockoff. You know, I hate to be rude, but it kind of does, even though Stein was involved with that. Supposedly. I think a ghostwriter wrote those, actually. I believe somebody told me that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. My whole point is, you can tell when it's not Stein. I firmly believe that. I stand by that. I think most times you can tell when it's not R.L. Stein writing these books. He has to have not written all of them. He can't. If he did, I'd be shocked. I really would. As a writer myself, I don't believe it. Yeah, I don't believe it knowing the editing process and everything else. I don't believe that. Anyway, so the book kind of loses itself in the last 30 pages. It gets a little too wacky. I think this book would have benefited from being 110 pages. I really do. I think if we had wrapped it up almost in the worst possible way of just doing it too fast and kind of rushing the ending, I think it would have been better than what we got at the end of this book. I don't know. It's not that the ending is horrible, it's just it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it fits with the rest of the story. But overall, I enjoyed Revenge of the Invisible Boy. I don't think it's bad at all. It's just not the greatest. It's definitely not the best of the SlappyWorld books by any means. I was hoping it would be. It had the potential, you know. Some of the SlappyWorld books have been really great until the endings, and some have been kind of lame. Attack of the Jack, I think, was one of the ones I didn't like as much. I think it was kind of a little lesser than this for me. But overall, I don't really have a whole lot more to say. I don't want to keep just rambling on. But overall, when it comes to Goosebumps SlappyWorld number 9, Revenge of the Invisible Boy, it's not a bad book by any means. I don't want you to think that at all. Don't walk away from this review thinking that, or click away from this review. Whatever. Don't go away from this review thinking that I hate the book. I don't. I think it's just decent. I like the cover a lot. I really think the cover artist, Brandon Dorman. Excuse me, I keep forgetting Brandon Dorman's name. Brandon Dorman, I've really liked his covers for these Goosebumps SlappyWorld books. I think he's done a great job. I like that kind of misty look to the covers. It almost feels dreamlike with some of them, especially with Ghost of Slappy. That was a really great cover that I love, probably my favorite of all the covers. Anyway, I really enjoyed the book for the most part. And then the last 30 pages or so which is almost like closing into a third of the book, is really not good. It's not really fitting with the rest of the story, which is kind of a shame, because I really dug this for the most part. For a long time, like I said, I did think I liked this more than My Best Friend is Invisible. I'm back to thinking that's better than this. Not by a long shot, just relatively a little bit better. But still, I like both. I think that this is a little bit not as good as My Best Friend is Invisible. If I had to rate Revenge of the Invisible Boy on a 5-star basis, I would give this about a 3 out of 5 stars. It's not to be rude or anything, it's above average, but I'd still leave it at a 3 out of 5. I don't feel right giving it a 4 out of 5, just because it wasn't amazing before that kind of rudely interrupting 30 pages or so. It wasn't like amazing or great or anything like that. It was good, it was fun to read. It just wasn't wonderful, you know? It's just an okay read. It's what I would consider kind of just a, what do we usually call those books? I can't remember what it's called. It's like you'll have the great, you know, milestones in Goosebumps, like Haunted Mask 2, Not a Living Dummy, Not a Living Dummy 2 and 3, and so on and so on. Filler. It's a filler book. That's kind of what I would call this, even though SlappyWorld kind of, a lot of the time, feels like just filler books between Slappy books. This one feels like a filler book, and it's a shame, I think, a little bit. But it's not horrible. It's not horrible. It's not a waste of money or anything like that. If you want to try this book out, I think it's worth the money. I think you'll like it, probably. Just don't expect to love it. But maybe you will. I don't know. There could be people down in the comments saying they love this book. I don't know. There's 870 people watching this channel right now, so there could be a lot of people who say they love it. I don't know. Let me know down in the comment section what your thoughts are on Revenge of the Invisible Boy. Again, 3 out of 5 stars for me. Kind of a higher 3 out of 5, but, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Put them down below, guys. Thank you for watching. May the Lord Jesus Christ bless you guys today, and goodbye.